They don't like to throw the ball, Willie. I don't know what else to tell you. I like CEO coaches. I've been saying it for years.
And how bad of a work was it last night when Matt LaFleur was he was not even looking at the field when his defense was on the field.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of the reason. I always go back to Sean McVay, who again, Matt LaFleur's off the Sean McVay tree. Early in his career, when he got the Rams job, Wade Phillips was the defensive coordinator.
Yeah,
he would do that all the time. He would not pay attention when the defense was on the field. It was basically co-head coaches. With Wade, who's a great legendary defensive coordinator. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. Now, everybody likes play calling, so I'm in the minority there. I want a CEO coach. For some reason, it's accepted at the college level. I brought that up, like of the past 40 national champions, some outrageous number, 4 called plays. It's really low number. They're all CEO coaches at the college level. It's accepted.
Yeah.
At the pro level, you're downgraded. Like I said, one thing, that tree, Sean McVay, I was having this discussion with an Eagles executive on Saturday. He has never lost to Sean McVay. He has never lost to Matt LaFleur. He has never lost to Kevin O'Connell. And it's a big sample size now. It's 10 games now. 10 games. He has never lost to any of those guys. If you ask the average NFL insider, whoever you like, blah, 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 who's a better coach, Sean McVay or Nick Sirianni? You're going to get about 80-20 Sean McVay. This is not scientific, but that's what you're going to get.
Well, don't you understand why that would be? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he does bring that offensive pedigree that I think many people, look for, which is fine.
Well, I think if you say, now forget about maybe not this morning, but if you say 3 weeks down the line and Green Bay wins a couple games again, who's a better coach, Matt LaFleur or Nick Sirianni? You're going to get 60-40 Matt LaFleur. Kevin O'Connell's going through a hellish season, and you're still going to get more Kevin O'Connell than Nick Sirianni. You are.
I know. I'm not laughing at what you're saying. I'm laughing at Kevin O'Connell, who you've talked about all summer with the quarterback. And every time I think about that team and that roster and the egregious quarterback decisions they made, I just chuckle.
And meanwhile, because whatever, and Nick brings it on a little bit himself with his behavior at times earlier in his career and his emotion and all that bullshit. But good football coach. But for some reason in college it's accepted, in the pros, oh, you got to call plays. And all these guys who call plays, and again, I've said this for years, the best place, the big Fangio of offense is not Sean McVay, it's Kyle Shanahan. And nobody can draw up and scheme shit like Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, but isn't Kyle even worse at the other stuff than Sean is?
Well, he's a game management disaster.
Yeah.
That's my point.
That's what I meant, yeah.
So I don't understand why people can't see that.
I think that could be a problem in Detroit. Now they got Dan Campbell back to calling plays.
Yeah, I don't like it. And by the way, I thought Johnny Morton was doing a good job. I don't think he was doing a bad job. They had a bad game. Everybody has bad games. And he had a bad game against a weird defensive coordinator who does shit other people don't do. The Eagles had a good game against that same defensive coordinator. But he came up with a good game plan, and they upset Detroit in Detroit, and they made Jahmyr Gibbs block, and it was really impressive. But not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
And they got Van Ginkel back and yada, 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 who's a difference-making player. And they had a bad game. And I thought that was an overreaction. But yes, I think it will impact Dan Campbell's game management skills moving forward if he continues to call plays.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one next week, Johnny Mac. Some super chats we'll get to. I think we're going to talk to Jeff Kerr in hour number 2 here. He did text me back, so I'll send him the link and see what Jeff has to say. He put up some great stuff on his X account last night after the game. So we'll talk to Jeff Kerr a little bit. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here. Got a big crowd in here. We appreciate all you guys. Hit that like button. All super chats go to the top. Let's see what the great people of JAKIB Nation are saying. Alexander Harris, what's going on, Alexander? How about Phillips? He played a key on that Hunt sack and had a lot of pressures and hurries. He's looking like that third pick was worth it. Third round pick was worth it. Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah, and I think, I think now he gets to be in a more comfortable role instead of a guy who you need to produce. Now he'll fit in as Nolan Smith gets ramped up. He'll fit in as the third guy, and I think that's a perfect role for him at this stage of his career. And I think it'll even get better because he'll be, playing with it. He's already playing with a bunch of good defensive front people now, but now he's in a role more suited for him.
Yeah, good stuff, Harris. Appreciate it. Prince, what's up, Prince? Appreciate you, man. Prince says, yes, Jalen played terrible, but the play calling was effing terrible. Explain the 3 passes when they needed 2 yards for a first down, J-Man. I did think that was a bad sequence. You got this cold.
Well, they had a bunch of bad sequences. They had those 3 ugly passes in a row where he threw across his body on the one, and there were a bunch. The offense was a shit show.
Yeah,
I mean,
shit show. Maybe I was too mad about it last night, but it was still. It doesn't change that it was a shit show.
It is what I was most surprised about is like everybody's so surprised, like they haven't seen it before.
Well, I just think people, I mean, John, the one thing where I think where there's a disconnect is like it almost sounds like sometimes you're telling us we shouldn't expect anything more from this offense. And I get what you're saying because the evidence points to they're going to be consistently inconsistent. But I don't think it's crazy for a fan to look at the personnel.
They're always trying. Always,
crap, man,
they're always trying to improve this flipping thing. That's all they do. The joke I kept making during the big meeting that was reported between AJ and Saquon and Jalen Hurts. All they do is meet. That's all NFL teams do all week is have meetings.
Their whole day.
Their whole day is meetings, lunch, meetings, practice, meetings, go home. Their whole day is meeting to improve this thing. But yeah, I mean,
so is it fair to say though that their efforts haven't worked in terms of getting more consistent on offense, which is obviously something they're trying to do?
Well, no, they're not consistent on offense. So yeah, I mean, to the point of, but again, I do also think like there's this presumption that the truly elite quarterbacks don't have bad games, and that's not true. From Patrick Mahomes to Lamar Jackson to Joe Burrow, because he's the volume guy when he was healthy. Josh Allen had an awful game this week. Awful game. So that part of it, I think, is unfair to point out when Jalen Hurts has an awful game that it's like some weird thing in the NFL. In fact, what I've been most impressed about by the NFL as a whole this year is the defensive coaches. I root for defensive coaches. I'm very honest about that because everything's against them.
Yeah, right.
And they keep finding ways to stop these offenses. And to your point, they all invest in the offense with the quarterbacks and the money. And your point, which is 100% correct about how much they pay the offense. They pay all the offensive guys, and the defensive guys still figure it out. It might take them a while, but they figure it out. I have tremendous respect for good defensive coaches in this league because everything's against them. And to see them dominate, like both Green Bay and the Eagles yesterday, dominate defensively, I think it's pretty cool, to be honest. But like every quarterback has bad games. And Jalen has bad games too frequently. Now, how do you stem that? Well, if they could stem it, they would. They're trying to. my personal belief and where I blame the coaching staff is I think their over emphasis on ball security, which has worked, has had a negative impact on the quarterback. And it's a difficult line to straddle.
Yeah, this is
Because
where I asked you earlier, like, do you think this risk averse approach could end up biting them in the ass at some point? You know, I know people don't like that conversation, but I do think it's something you
well,
got
I
to
think
look
it
at.
will bite them in the ass at some point from the perspective of they're not going to win 8 Super Bowls in a row. They might win again this year, but at some point in the future, it's going to bite them in the ass. But again, at what point do you say, hey, we got 3, we got 4? Yeah, we didn't get 1.
Yeah,
Is that biting you in the ass? I don't think it is.
9 game sample size so far. Or no, yeah, 9 games they've played this year, though. You know, offensively speaking, do you think they look like a team that's built to be able to go back to the Super Bowl? I mean, I guess you could say they could if the defense plays like they did last night. Shit, they could beat
Well,
anybody.
I mean, they're
I
the
don't know.
best.
I don't know if it's a good strategy to hope your defense holds teams to 7 points.
No,
You
you're
know?
not going to do that every
Yeah,
week. But, you can go down the list. Was it good enough against Dallas offensively? No. Kansas City? No. Rams? No. Bucks? No. It was 1/2 against the Rams, 1/2 against the Bucks. Broncos? No. Giants? No. Vikings? Yes. Giants? Yes. Packers? No. How many no's was that?
yeah, a lot. I think 7 or 6.
Yeah. So they're like, if you're talking about offensive efficiency, they're 7-2. They're 2-7 in offensive efficiency. So no, that's not good enough.
Yeah. I think sometimes, I have this approach where it's like, you only feel as good as the offense feels. Sometimes that's like how it feels after a win when the offense doesn't get going. But a lot of positives from the defense yesterday, no doubt. Bobby Murphy, what's up, Bobby? You're giving up on drives by running on 3rd and 12. At least try a damn screen pass. What the WTF?
Seriously, has anybody not seen a draw play?
No, I think we have.
I'm being
I know, but I
dead
think you're going
serious.
to the extreme of like, it's okay here and there, but it feels like it almost feels like every time they're doing the draw.
Well,
Even
again,
our boy
and
Brandon
one of the
McGowan, like
things,
the coward's draw is back. You know what I mean? Like
the
there are
coward.
other
Well,
people
that's what I meant. I'm talking about those people. All right, you're a head coach in the NFL. You're playing against the Green Bay Packers and Micah Parsons, and you're 3rd and 14, and you're calling that a coward's draw? Or is that smart football in a personality game that went the way this was going? This was not a 34-27 game, which I agree
right,
with you.
right. Where it's like if that's the point and points you need to get points, that makes more sense. I get what you're saying there.
I mean, I think, and this is not a criticism to Philadelphia's fan base because I think it's everybody's fan base, including, you'll see it in Green Bay and all their people today. They do not look at the opponent. To them, the opponent is just a nebulous blob, and it doesn't change if you're playing Micah Parsons or Joe Schmo. Well, the coaches, it does change. And you game plan for specific people. Like I always say, when opposing coaches, when Matt LaFleur is game planning for the Philadelphia Eagles defense, I guarantee it starts with Jalen Carter. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. They're game planning for who they're playing. And again, I know because the Eagles didn't get him that it would have changed their tune if they did get him. They have a lot of fucking respect for Micah Parsons.
Yeah, no, I get that part of it. But I just wonder if when you have a team that has as much offensive
Well,
firepower,
3rd and
it feels like
14,
they have. You know what I
it
mean?
does
That's
it
what I think.
does all that offensive firepower doesn't mean a damn thing if the rush is all over your quarterback. If you can't block, you can't play offense. That's the reality of every NFL team. And in 3rd and 14, you're signaling, hey, come get the quarterback. That's why you run a draw, because everybody's pinning their ears back and you're hoping to hit it. And the Eagles hit it a bunch last year where they would convert draw plays for first downs, having a historic rushing season on 3rd and longs. They hit it 4 or 5 times last year. I covered Adrian Peterson, but they probably did it 20 times when he won the MVP, like 3rd and 7 plus, running the football. And you're basically, it's the same thing as running, you're trying to, they're pinning, they're 3rd and 14, they're going to throw the ball. That's their mentality. They're pinning their ears back. And what happens when you do throw the ball if you get that pressure? Well, it could be a sack. It could be a strip sack. It could be an interception. Are they risk averse? Yes, they are risk averse.
More risk, more reward. I get it, but this has worked, so I understand. But it's just a tough thing to gauge on. I think for a lot of people. I mean, and look, even fans who have been a fan of this team for a lot longer than I have. They're all the ones who tell me this is the best offensive group that's ever been assembled here. Now, whether they play like it is a different conversation.
Yeah, but they're overstating the quarterback's ability in the passing game. Bottom line. Which you
understand will bring up questions in the offseason when all these defensive guys need to get signed. What do you do? How do you manage that? Because, say what we want about the offense and the winning and everything, they are not utilizing the players on that offense up to the level that could or should be expected from that assembly of talent. Certainly, in my opinion, I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, well, I think, with a different style of offense and a different style of quarterback, I think that would be true. I don't think it's true with the quarterback they have.
Fair enough. Let's keep rolling. Blaze, what's up, Blaze? Looks like Phillips was dominant in the run and setting the edge after all, John. Like I said. All right, Blaze. PFF stats don't tell the whole truth. He's legit. I do think, John, I mean, that was one thing we talked about, and you did focus in on, like, he's a great pass rusher. At least it's one game, but, man, he looked like he could be an every down edge rusher for sure last night, which was very positive.
Well, he's been an every down edge rusher, but I'm saying he's more pass rusher than run. I don't know what people like to argue. People like to be right. They think they're right. And by the way, I said Jaelan Phillips was a difference maker before the Eagles traded for him. I said that was the most logical move. I've said he's a good player from day one. He proved it. Now, he's not always going to play at that level because that's not how the NFL works, but he's a very good player. And he's already, the moment he stepped on into the NovaCare complex, he was the best pass rusher the Eagles had by a wide margin.
He looked amazing last night, man. I think he's got a rare opportunity. I think if he continues to do that, he's going to be here long term, and they're going to have to figure out some stuff on how to get everybody paid because I think they're not going to let that guy go. Here's Q. What's up, Q? You can't run the same play to Goddard 3 times, run 3 draws on 3rd down. He is some of the blame. That being said, Lane being out 3 quarters while not having Jurgi is going to be tough against that front. It's a fair point, Q. You're missing Lane there. You're missing Cam Jurgens there. Offensive approach.
Yeah, well, I mean, I brought up that Dallas play. I mean, he didn't get his head around. I don't know if it was Jalen's fault or Dallas's fault, but that play was there. Bottom line, that play was there. So I don't care if you run the same play 10 times. If it's there, run it.
I think Jalen was maybe a little fast or Goddard didn't get ahead.
And that was there. Now, you can't run a draw every 3rd and 12. I agree with that. But the fact that people I'm the one trying to tell you how risk averse they are. Yeah. That's built into it. Again,
what does that tell you on a deeper level, though? They're like, does it tell you there's lack of trust, or is it simply like they just believe that's the best way to win football games?
It's both. It's a lack of trust, and that lack of trust manifests itself, and this is the best way for us to win football games.
A little bit of both.
And Micah Parsons, throw him in there as well. Because they'll play differently against most teams, but they have, they're concerned about Micah.
Fair enough. Q, appreciate the $10 super chat, my man. Goes a long way. We appreciate it. Pizalts. I don't know how to pronounce that. What's up, man? Thank you. Do you think Jalen has earned the starting spot? He has been amazing and he's been more available. Well, I think
no, he has not earned the starting spot.
Yeah, I think
Nolan
he's better
Smith.
at free roll. I think that's what you saw last night.
And Nolan Smith, first of all, starting doesn't matter. Who plays the most? Yesterday, Nolan Smith started. Jalix played the most. Now, he played the most because he played more than Jalix. He didn't play more than Jalen. He played more. Jalix played more than Nolan. But Nolan started is what I'm trying to say. I think that I'm tired. But that will change as Nolan gets up to speed. And Nolan's a better player. I mean, at this stage, that's the way it should be, as long as he stays healthy. But, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the role he should be in. He's a second-year player. He hasn't played great. That's overstating it. But he has been good, and he has been better recently. But Nolan's a better football player. Come on, guys. It's not that close.
Yeah, I thought Nolan was actually good. I mean, not a lot of snaps, but I thought he was great last night. N'Kobe Dean really stuck out to me last night as well. Pizzalts, thank you for the super. Luchito, what's up, brother? I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you for being here. In 22, the Eagles would never run draws on third down and distance. They were aggressive, and that's what made them dangerous. I don't know what this new BS is.
Saquon? If you can't see the difference between the Eagles offense pre-Saquon,
yeah, there's a massive.
And post-Saquon, can't help you. And as I said, there's a reaction at reaction. And Jalen Hurts was a different player in 2022 than he is today because they had not beaten out the risk part of the equation. Now they've beaten it out of him. So, again, if I'm going to blame the coaching staff, that's where I start. And I've said it pretty consistently. I said it when they were 2-2 last year in the bye. I thought they were unfair to Jalen Hurts. And I still believe that. However, they won 16 of 17 and won a Super Bowl. But I think they've impacted his play by the lack of trust in his ability to handle those risky situations or more risky situations.
Yeah. Interesting. Luchito, thank you, man. What's up, him Bison? What's up, man? Packers D is trash, ? I think the O struggled with the Packers D more so than the O being terrible. Not absolving the O, but Pack D deserves some credit. I agree. They definitely deserve some credit. I think there was a lot left on the field, though, man. I mean, there was a lot of plays out there where there was meat left on the bone, which is, I mean, that's part of football. But
yeah, I mean, again, it's not unique to this fan base, but very few people look at the opponent. That is a very good defense. They came in, I believe, number 5 in the NFL defensively. They have good players at every level. They have a superstar up front. Yeah, that's a tough defense. That's part of it. But
very good defense.
But the offense also didn't play well. I think that's fair to say as well.
Yeah. Jalen was off his game after that fumble. I felt like that first drive, they were moving the ball pretty well. He was making some throws. They were running.
Yeah, the first drive was looking great. It was looking
real good.
It's like 15, 16 plays, 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, they converted like 4 third downs. I
And by the way, John, I know that you can't make an excuse and you want Jalen to protect the football there, but I more tip my hat to Edger and Cooper there. That was a perfect.
That was a great play.
Yeah, great play.
Perfect peanut punch. And if the defender who was tackling Jalen Hurts, and by the way, that was the third down, they would have converted. If the defender wasn't underneath him and his knee would have hit the ground, it wouldn't have been a fumble. I mean, sometimes that's how close it is. But it is what it is. They don't turn the ball over much. And that was the one. And now he's through 9 games. He's thrown 1 interception. Now, part of that is they don't take a lot of chances.
Yeah.
But it's working.
No doubt. Him Bison, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Luchito again. If I have AJ Smitty in Dallas, I'm not running a damn draw. Passive play call. Very passive.
I mean, that's a bad mentality. First of all, the best offenses in NFL history run draws. It is not unique. It is a staple of every NFL offense. So to say you would never do that is absurd. From the 600-point Denver Broncos on down, I guarantee you they ran draw plays. I guarantee you. It's the same thing as hot routes. When the people would say the Eagles don't have hot routes. Every NFL offense has hot routes, and you don't call them. Every NFL offense runs draw plays. Every single one of them. It is not unique. I can't even believe this is even remotely controversial, is what I said last. It is a staple of every single NFL offense.
It doesn't happen ever. I just think that it feels like we lead the league. I mean, John, this is the problem. Because I think what you're saying, it makes a lot more sense now. And maybe I was too angry at the way the offense looked last night to hear it. But I hear you now. They lead the NFL in 3 and outs. Like,
I know.
You know, like, isn't that fucking crazy? Like, but it just feels like even if you're being objective, even if you're enjoying the wins, like
they do not lead the NFL in 3 and outs because they run draw plays on 3rd and 13.
I know that. I'm more bringing it all together. Of I think people are agitated at the offense.
Well, that's fine. And by the way, PFF, the final grades aren't up, but Jahad Campbell played 10 snaps on the edge, 22 at linebacker.
Okay. Pretty good offensive snap count for linebacker. I mean, that's good rotation. Jakobi, I would imagine, played 40? How many defensive snaps did they have last night? 60?
68. Jakobi played 44. So, but the linebacker, he played all of his snaps at linebacker, and Jahad played 22. So that's 66 of 68. So that checks out. So that's how it was basically, 2/3 for Jakobi. But yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that, look, those 10 snaps on the edge were not effective for Jahad Campbell.
No,
they should have.
They undersized there. Yeah, he's not an edge, John.
Those 10 plays should have went to Josh Uche. So that's where it's tough to.
Yeah, I wonder if that change comes.
It should. But they want to get him on the field. I got that very firmly, and maybe that's how they're getting him on the field, because Josh is not going to be here long term, obviously. But boy, he's playing well, and I don't agree with that. But we'll see how it shakes out.
Here's Pumper. What's up, Pump? That was an abomination of a performance by one Jalen Alexander Hurts. Talk about what a heinous performance that was. I am repulsed and flustered. SMH. Certainly wasn't his best performance.
Jalen's biggest fan. No, he did not play well. That is a fair assessment.
Yeah,
he did not play well.
That's fine to say. Q the God, what's up, Q? Risk averse. Take a shot on 4th and 6 with seconds left. No, that's true.
Well, yeah, that is very strange. Well, and I thought it was just dumb. I would have punted. And I'm an aggressive.
I think they were trying to get AJ the ball, just a target there, because they only had 2 targets. And then
I think they were trying to they were trying to surprise Green Bay, and it didn't work. But I mean, in that game, in that situation, with no timeouts, like, you just squib the ball with a great punter, and the game's over. Now, ultimately, the game was over anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. But you don't want to do that against a team it's just bad decision making. And I think that's fair to point out. And yeah, you play basically 59 and a half minutes being risk averse, and then you go, let's just throw it up on 4th and 6. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Good stuff, Q. Appreciate it. Here's Papa Smurf. What's up, Smurf? I think the Eagles staff is trying to force Hurts as a system quarterback, do this, do that, when Shane had let Hurts play to his talent, which is playmaking abilities by any means necessary. Very different offense now, though, man.
Well, it's not a very different offense, but
No,
it's
I
just
mean in terms of
the
you pointed out,
Saquonization is
yeah,
different.
and also you said it in the first hour, John, different player. Jalen's a different player in 25 than he was in 22. You know,
Yeah, they let him take a few more chances back in 2022, and that part's fair. They've gotten very risk averse. They have. I mean, but it's what they won 16 of 17 and now 7 of 9. So do the math there. What's that? 23 of whatever. 26. So would you take 23 and 3? I guess.
you got to. Willie Mo, what's up? 2 more super chats, and we'll get to Jeff Kerr here on Bird 365. Willie Mo says, "Someone tell me why we don't run more spread." That's a good question.
Well, I think they should run spread on the quarterback sneak, but I digress. They don't like to throw the ball, Willie. I don't know what else to tell you. It's self-evident. They don't want to throw the ball all over the lot. They think they're going to turn the ball over if they do that. Simple as that. I mean, can we cut all the bullshit? They don't trust the quarterback to throw a high volume offense.
Well, they should trust the
So
quarterback.
if you're doing run and shoot with Warren Moon, they're not going to do it.
Corporate Pump. Here's Pump. Last one here. We'll get to Jeff Kerr next. Anyone who gives Hurts credit for that win needs to be checked into a psych ward. That defense was incredible. Casual fan base can't comprehend. I don't think anybody's giving Jalen credit for the win. I think.
Well, yeah, but little. I said he'll make 2 or 3 plays. That's part of the win. I'm not giving credit.
The problem with that, like John, is, and I use this philosophy from you. You can't take the good and use it to just cover up the bad. Like the bad is still the bad.
I don't think it's covering up. I'm saying he contributed to the win with his absolutely. 2 or 3 plays. That's all.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, Pump. Thank you, brother. We appreciate everybody.
Jordan Love, which, by the way, Jordan Love couldn't do. That's the difference.
Yeah. Jordan Love. I'm sorry, John. I do not think he's that good.
Yeah, you're not a Jordan. I'm aware you're not a Jordan Love fan.
I'm not a Jordan Love fan.
He was up against it yesterday, though.
He was absolutely. And look, I said it in the open. I think they were missing a lot of freaking dudes, and I think that's got to be factored in. But I just don't think he's got that. Well, like you say, the ability to make those big plays. At the times.
Well, I mean, again, it's a war of attrition. I mean, if Kraft is out there, if Reed's out there, if Dobbs is out there, I mean,
100%.
It's a different team.
Yeah.